the small intestines. And the small intestines is real interesting. Real interesting. The small intestines is, on one side it's a garbage dump, and on the other side is where we get our nutrients. And if the foods are not broken down properly in the manner that they should, then not only does the small intestines get that hit, but the lungs get that hit, and so here comes the mucus. Because the lung chi is not able to move and help move the food along. And so because of that, now you start to have an issue with the lungs. And so as you have these issues with the lungs, in some places it's just a cough or a cold. If the cough is rattling, that says that there's too much dampness, too much mucus. You're eating too many foods that's damp, like breads and pastas and those kinds of things. If the cough is barking, that says there's not enough fluids, not enough liquids for it, so you got too much heat in the system. So that's going to begin to do other kinds of things and cause other kinds of things. That's like asthma. Well, asthma is a heat-related imbalance. This is in traditional Chinese medicine. So in treating that, we would treat it so that we bring more fluids to balance the lungs, because there's heat in the lungs. Same thing with cystic fibrosis. You got too much heat. That's why if you're smoking, you should stop. Or work to stop. Or reduce the amount of cigarettes that you're smoking, especially now in today's world. Because in today's world, we have a real big issue. A real big issue. And the energy of today's world has to do with how well our lungs function. As I said earlier, allergies or allergic reactions, as they are due to the fact that your body is full of waste. And it's full of waste because of the fact that we're eating foods that are out of season. And as we eat foods that are out of season, what happens now is that now that waste starts to accumulate because the foods are not digesting, absorbing, and assimilating. And the waste byproducts are not being escorted out of the body in a timely manner. So with that happening, now the body is kind of blowing up. And in that blowing up process, we call it that we're gaining weight. Well, you're really not gaining weight. You're gaining waste. And you're gaining waste because of the fact that the lungs, the large intestines, and the digestive tract are not in harmony. When the digestive tract is in harmony, what happens is that now you get nutrients in. And you get nutrients in that work for you. So we don't have to count calories. See, you got to understand this, or you don't have to. But we're the only creature in God's kingdom that counts calories. What other animal in God's kingdom do you know that counts calories? In my 72 years, I don't know of any. Why? Because they understand how to eat. They don't wind up with emphysema, lung issues, COPD, unless we domesticate them and start to give them food from the table, foods that we think they should eat. They know distinctively what to eat, when to eat it, and how to eat it. If you begin to watch the lower animals will show you how to eat, because there's certain times of the year they'll eat certain plants and other times they won't eat those plants. Because those plants now are causing issues. Lung cancer, That's nothing but heat. And it's real interesting because Western medical society uses homeopathics, whether they realize it or not. And the reason I say that is this. Dr. Henneman, who was the founder of homeopathics, discovered that if you give a person the same thing that they're ailing from, it makes them better. Well, cancer, for instance, they give you heat, radiation, chemotherapy. With this energy that's out there, now they're working to give you something similar to that energy to keep you from getting it. And so if that's the case, then that's homeopathics. Whether or not they realize it or not, that's homeopathics. So when we start looking at the lungs, we have to look at the lungs have to do with the ability for us to heal. Because the lungs maintain the balance of the oxygen in the blood, which now allows for the iron and other elements of the blood to be circulated through the body by way of the heart as it pumps. See, because the heart, its job is to circulate the blood, where the lungs' job is to make sure that the contraction of the blood vessels happen by that in and out breathing motion that we have. When we don't do that, then what happens is that now the blood doesn't circulate, digestion doesn't happen. So when digestion isn't happening properly, the small intestines begins to become bogged down, and the villi, which are finger-like elements inside of the small intestine, when that happens, what then begins to happen is the fact that it gets irritated. And that irritation now causes what is known as the leaky gut syndrome, which means that now you have waste instead of nutrients assimilating into the blood. And as it assimilates into the blood, what happens? What now is happening is that now the blood is being tainted. And so with that being tainted in that manner, you are now seeing high cholesterol, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, because now you got nutrients flowing in, you got waste flowing into the blood. So in order for you to be able to maintain your balance during this time, you have to make sure, one, that your bowels are moving. Two, you have to make sure that your digestive system is functioning properly. And three, you have to make sure that the lungs are able to oxygenate the blood. See, because if you don't, then what happens is now you have an issue. And see, we have to understand this, because there's a lot of people who are listening who are working within the compounds of the acid-alkaline balance. Well, the lungs are yin, which is alkaline, and the large intestines is yang, which is acidic. And when those two are unbalanced, then you start to have problems. If you understand the acid-alkaline balance, you then understand that the body is both acid and alkaline. And so the acid portion of the body, so the acid alkaline portion of the body is in a place where you have to understand how to go about doing that, how to go about balancing that. So you have to understand the fact that the first thing is you have to eat foods in seasons. If you go to the website, what you'll find on the website is you'll begin to find the factor of how to go about eating what foods in what seasons. There's a chart. You'll find a chart just like this. You'll find one for each season. That'll tell you about foods to eat. In order to maintain health, you got to understand what's causing what's going on with you. Because if you go straight to the solution or what you think is the solution and you don't get to the root cause of it, you're going to continue to have what's going on with you. That's why there are so many people sick. We're eating foods that are adulterated. So when you do that, you got to now put in enzymes. Because the enzymes that you put in, which are digestive enzymes, you got to put the digestive, you got to understand that your body is not receiving nutrients. And if you're eating fast foods, you're looking at the fact that your body's definitely not receiving nutrients. So if your body's not receiving nutrients, now what happens is that now you got to look at the factor of how do you get the nutrients in? How does the digestive tract and the large intestines function in such a way where you get the nutrients? You start taking digestive enzymes. You can buy digestive enzymes at any health food store. Because when you buy them there, what you do is you take them with each meal. You should be taking probiotics. Because when you take probiotics, what happens is probiotics start to work on the gut, which now enhances the lungs' ability to take in air. And so when you begin to deal with that, what happens? What begins to happen now? What begins to happen now is the factor that you now begin to receive nutrients. So when you go to the website, it'll say food charts. And all you do is you extract them. There's one for each season. And for each of those seasons, you begin to put those foods in. We do have to understand how to eat. We don't. Let me ask this question and just think about it. Do you really understand and know your blood type? Because your blood type dictates to you what foods you should be eating and how you should be eating those foods. And whether or not those foods are going to function for your body. See, health is more than just picking up some alkaline water and eating something organic. You should understand parts of the body structure so that what happens is that now you get into that. Yeah, and as I move forward, we're going to get into the cleansing part of that. But we have to build a foundation so that you have an understanding of what you're doing. Because if someone tells you, well, take this here, someone tells you, say, take coconut water, and you just start taking coconut water and don't know why you're taking coconut water, but if something goes wrong in your body and you don't understand it, but it's because you didn't understand why you were taking the coconut water. My thing is to get you to have an understanding of your body and what's going into it, so that you can help intelligently work with it in such a way where the body now will function for you. The roller coaster goes to 50. When it gets to 50, everything from health starts to fall down. So you should have an understanding about digestion and the foods that you eat and in what season you eat those foods in. Whoever's marking on my website, would you please stop? And if the information is irritating to you, I would ask you to leave. If you begin to understand how to work the body, how to get the body to function, what the body needs, why it needs that, what then begins to happen is that now you can heal. See, because it's not about just taking in something. It's about how the body heals. And as we age, the body begins to stop healing. So now you need fresh vegetables. You need to eat foods that are in season. You need to take probiotics. Probiotics should be taken at night, in the spring, in the winter, in the winter, and in the spring, and in the fall. In the spring and the summer, you should take them in the morning because the body's more active. Digestion is more active. When you start to look at disharmonies we call diseases, you got to understand what's the root cause of it. Western medicine deals with the symptoms. There's always a root cause of it. And so when you start to deal with that, you got to deal with the fact of what you're eating. That's like there's a lot of people who are taking sea moss because somebody said you need to take sea moss, and we do. I started taking Chandra crispus, which is Irish moss, which comes out of Ireland. Okay. I started taking that when I was 24 years old. But the way that you take things of that nature is that if you're going to take sea moss, you take sea moss in the summertime and in the wintertime, because those are the two seasons that it gets more into your system. When you take them in the fall and the spring, you have to take them with grasses. Wheatgrass, barley grass, moringa. Why? Because the minerals in the sea moss can also become poisonous to your system in those seasons. So you need something to buffer them, which is called a coenzyme. So when we start looking at the lungs and the large intestines, we have to look at the fact that they are primary. You want to make sure your bowels are moving. You know, you want to make sure that you're able to breathe. You want to make sure that the waste byproducts is coming out of your body and you're getting nutrients. That's like if you find yourself eating sweets, craving sweets, that says you're suffering from malnutrition. A couple of ways to overcome that. One of them is taking steel cut oats, STEEL oats, and putting them in a glass. Filling the glass with distilled water. not alkaline water, not not tap water, definitely not tap water, and not spring water. Why? Because you want the distilled water to extract the nutrients, the B vitamins and the chromium from it, so that the chromium goes into your body. So you fill it with distilled water, you put a cover over top of it. You set it on the kitchen table or on the counter overnight. In the morning, you strain it. You can eat the oats if you want to, but you strain it and you drink the water. Within 3 to 4 days, you'll see that your sweet cravings do reduce because of the chromium that's in it and because of the B vitamins. And the B vitamins you need B vitamins for your central nervous system, for your immune system, for your lungs. So when you start looking at it in that manner, you're looking at it in such a way where, your large intestines, is, and your small intestines is most prevalent for you to be able to get rid of the waste. You need to understand food combining, because food combining, so food combining is most powerful because that aids the food in its ability to break down. Starch breaks down in the mouth. Proteins break down in the stomach. Lipids and fats break down in the small intestines. Part of the large intestine's job is to reabsorb any nutrients that are left from the small intestines as it moves the waste into the large intestines. In the African American community, colon cancer and breast cancer are major. And they're major because of the factor of how constipated we are. So you need to put roughage in. You need to put in fiber. This is the season to do that, to put in prebiotics and probiotics. Prebiotics are things like green vegetables, rice, whole grains. Those are the things that you would put in now. So that what happens is you then begin to function in such a way where you're moving waste out of the body and the body's able to uptake nutrients. If the body is not able to take up nutrients, then what happens is that now the enzymatic process happens. It doesn't happen. And the enzymatic process not happening, now what happens is that now the body starts to die. Which is the piece that happens. We don't have to grow old and be sick. We don't. But it's about what we eat and how we understand our body. And how our body functions within the environment in which we live in. See, because if that's the case, then what happens is that now we start to deal with the waste that's in the system. And that waste that's in the system, if we don't get it out, what happens is that we start to actually die. Every 120 days, your erythrocytes, your red blood cells, which means every season, your erythrocytes begin to function in such a way where they work to rejuvenate themselves. That's what Wei Qi is, the immune system. And if you don't have what you need in it, then what happens is that the immune system doesn't function the way it should. That's why fasting is wonderful. Each season fasting works very well. Why? Because of the fact that when you're fasting, what happens is that now you stop digestion. And so when you're fasting, and you're fasting for 3 days or more, your body now is functioning in a manner where it's not digested. So you take an enema or you do a colonic to pull it out, but at the same time, the body now is getting rid of the waste byproducts from all of the foods that's been accumulated. We eat too much. We eat too much. We should be on a regimen, you know. For instance, food has its temperament. You know? During the fall, we start to eat foods that are warmer and less raw foods. During the summer, we eat cool foods and cold foods, raw foods. During the winter, we eat more cooked food than raw food because the body needs that heat. During the summer, we can eat pasta. But during the winter, it becomes gelatinous. So now it's going to cause mucus. We eat too much. We eat too many foods that have mucus forming. Understand how to eat. That's why I put together the seasonal food chart, so that you have an idea of what to eat. Growing up in the 50s, we didn't have all of this lavish food that's today. We ate only what was in season. Because what was in season was around the corner from us. We should be eating foods that's 100 miles radius of where we live because of the fact of the temperament of the food. We need to have an understanding of what and how to maintain and build the immune system, and why the immune system is failing us. The immune system is failing us because we're not putting in what we need for the immune system, or the Wei Qi. And so because of that, what now is happening is that now we have these issues. That's why during the season, you should get you a dry bristle brush, and before your shower, brush your skin. Because when you brush your skin, what happens is that now you start to open up the pores so that the waste byproducts can come out as you shower. That should be on a daily basis, and it should be circular. As you do it, it should be circular. So that you begin to work on it in that manner. So I want to introduce you to the organ network because it's important. It's important that you have an understanding, from my point of view, of what the organ network does. So the lungs, they nourish like a parent nourishes the kidneys. Okay, the kidneys nourish the liver. The liver, in return, nourishes the heart. And the heart nourishes the spleen, stomach, and the pancreas. See, so we have to look at the fact that the body, the organs are in a network. When the lungs are not functioning properly, they have a relationship between the kidneys, the heart. And so because all of them have this relationship, one set triggers another. If the lungs are functioning properly, then it helps the liver to detoxify, to do its thing called cytochrome P450. And that's what you want to happen. That's why during this season, cleansing is at its optimum. Okay. I'm going to move ahead here a little bit because some of this stuff I've already talked about. Let's see where we are. So the lungs and the spleen have a relationship with the blood. The spleen extracts and breaks down the nutrients so that the small intestines can absorb them. That's why you should chew your food well 32 times. You should not be drinking and eating at the same time unless, of course, you're taking in supplements. And when you're taking them supplements, the supplements should be in relationship to warm water. You shouldn't be drinking ice cold water because you're shutting the digestive tract down. So you should be dealing with warm water and just enough to get those supplements down, so that they break down the starch in the mouth and the protein in the stomach and the starches and sugars and fats in the small intestines. See, because your immune system was built from your mother's breast if you were breastfed. All you can do is enhance it. The only way that you enhance it is through the foods that you eat. If you're not eating properly, then the immune system is going to continue to function in the manner that it is. As I said, it has a relationship with the heart. So you want to make sure the heart's moving. So that's where cardiovascular comes in. That's where exercise comes in. That's where things like Qigong and Tai Chi and aerobics and those things come in, because when the lungs are oxygenating the blood, it makes the heart move so that the heart now circulates nutrients, so that the body is able to do its job. And the stomach, which has to do with acidicness. Your stomach, the acid in your stomach is between 1, and the pH level is between 1 and 3.5. And so you want to make sure that it stays there, because it needs to break down protein. Protein has a nitrogen element that needs that acidicness. In order for you to get calcium into your body, you need that acid. Same thing with vitamin C. So you want to make sure that the stomach is doing exactly what it needs to do. The stomach has to deal with the fluids of the body. So you want to make sure that the fluids are functioning in the manner that they should. So that's why chewing is most important. Most important. And not drinking at the same time, because it reduces enzymes. So when we start talking about nourishing and cleansing the body for the autumn, we talk about the relationship of the heart, the spleen, and the lungs. If the heart is functioning well, then the heart helps the lungs with the blood, so that the blood now is oxygenated, which starts the cleansing. If the spleen and the stomach and the pancreas are in good shape, what they do is they now begin to make it so that the spleen, so that the foods are being able to be broken down so that the small intestines can absorb them, and you get nutrients. So when you're getting nutrients, that means that you're not craving sweets. That means that you're not a diabetic. You don't have neuropathy. And so the lungs can now aid in the kidneys. So now you don't have dialysis. You don't have reproductive issues. And if you're a woman and you're of that age where menopause starts to pause, you don't have issues with that. Because the lungs now have actually functioned for you, because now you're starting to cleanse them. And so the kidneys work with the liver. And so the liver, always remember, the liver is always the detoxifier. There's two major detoxifiers, the skin and the liver. Those are the two major detoxifiers. And the lungs aids in the cleansing process through the oxygenation of the blood. But you want to make sure that you don't eat foods that's causing waste byproducts to accumulate, because when the waste byproducts accumulate, what happens? What begins to happen now is that now the body begins to malfunction, which then goes back to the heart. So Autumn Foods, as I said, go to the website and you can extract the nutrients, you can extract the information about the foods, so that you know that you're eating raw root vegetables. You know, you're taking certain herbs. The fruits, this is a time for stone fruits. You're taking in stone fruits, plums, peaches, nectarines, pomegranates, grapes that have seeds in them. When we eat grapes that don't have seeds in them, what happens now is the fact that we're not getting nutrients because of the fact that the grape should have seeds. Whole grains, brown rice, quinoa, couscous, green leafy vegetables that growing now. And with the root vegetables, you should be eating the greens of those. Like beet greens, carrot greens. Because the greens have chlorophyll. And chlorophyll proliferates the cells. Chlorophyll works in line with the lungs to cleanse the blood. So you want to make sure that you put those in. Matter of fact, on some of my protocols, whether you have candida, and candida is another one that's running rampant because of the fact of what people are eating. Candida, diabetes, hypertension. The first thing I do is put you on green vegetables, because that chlorophyll is going to work to cleanse the blood. It's going to help to cleanse the blood as you take certain herbs and eat certain foods, so that now the body will function for you. And at the bottom here on the screen is the information to get the food chart. And the interesting thing is that each one of the organs has an emotion. So for instance, if you're impatient, that's a heart issue. If you got anger, depression, suppression, frustration, that's a liver issue. If you have sadness and grief, that's a lung and large intestines issue. If you worry and have anxiety, that's a stomach and spleen issue. If you have a lack of joy in your life, that's a heart issue. See, so when you start to eat certain foods and you start to balance the organs, you start to also balance your emotions. If you're stressed out, that's a liver issue. When you start to eat foods and seasons, you begin to see that changes as your health changes. Here are some nutrients that you need for this season. Zinc. But when you take in zinc, if you take in zinc in regards to a supplement, you were taking 50 milligrams of zinc to 3 milligrams of copper, because zinc displaces copper. Copper is needed for your blood, for your central nervous system. Zinc is needed for your immune system. And men, we need that for prostate. Vitamin E. You take vitamin E, you should take vitamin C, so that they get in together. So that what happens is that now it balances the immune system. Too much vitamin C will cause adrenal fatigue. See, so when you start looking at supplementation, you got to look at the fact that they're synergistic. Vitamin D. A lot of people are taking vitamin D. If you're taking vitamin D, first off, it's recommended that the most that you take is 600 milligrams a day. That's the National Science Foundation. However, they have people taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. Well, when you take that, not only is calcium, magnesium, vitamin C getting into the system, but also cadmium, lead, and other toxins. Arsenic are getting into the system because the vitamin D will allow for that to happen. When you take vitamin D, you should take calcium, magnesium, vitamin C, boron, and potassium, because they open the door so that the vitamin D gets in, so that you're not taking in vitamin D and it can cause harm opposed to it healing the body. Iron is very difficult to get in, especially if you're taking it as a supplement. So the way to get iron in is blackstrap molasses, a tablespoon in water of blackstrap molasses, chlorophyll, liquid chlorophyll, works very well to get iron in, and B12, so that you don't have nutritional deficiencies caused by issues of the body not being able to absorb it. And so when we start looking at that, we have to look at the fact that how do we fast, how do we cleanse, and how do we nourish the body? So if you begin to fast, as I said earlier, you should fast for at least 3 days. And in my program, I always have people to fast at least 3 days. And if they decide to go further, that's fine. But at least 3 days. Because what that does is that shuts the body down. And as you shut the body down, what happens? What happens is you shut down digestion. And when you shut down digestion now allows for the body to begin to heal the digestive tract. So that the body now is in a state of healing. And within my program, you're taking certain herbs. For instance, this season, you're taking herbs for the lungs, you're taking herbs for the spleen and the stomach. You're taking herbs for the heart, and you're taking herbs for the bowels. So that you create a balance within the organ network so that the body begins to heal. When you talk about cleansing, Now you're eating foods. You're not overcooking the foods. You're not eating fast foods, but you're eating foods within the seasons and taking herbs to create the balance with those, as well as taking enzymes and probiotics. So the body will work for you. It'll work for you in the manner of healing, but you have to understand it. And here are some of the products that I have with codes. And the codes will give you a certain percentage off of the herbal packages. The triangle of life, that's for immunity. That's to help with immunity. Matter of fact, one of the products in that particular set of herbs will allow you to I'm sorry, my mind went somewhere else. Where I developed that back when the HIV and the AIDS epidemic had started. That's when I put those together, and they've been working fine ever since. Another set of them is mushrooms. Mushrooms have beta glucans. That's one of the powerful antioxidants and flavonoids that helps the blood and the cells to rejuvenate themselves. And then you have green earth food in there. And green earth food is a food that has sea moss, but it also has grasses in it, so that you get the minerals, the vitamins, and the chlorophyll. Cleansing within a season fasting package. That I just talked about, which is for the lungs, the large intestines, the kidneys, the lungs, the large intestines, the heart, and the spleen and the stomach. And then Yin Ping and green earth food. Yin Ping is a formula that came out of China, that China used at the beginning of this energy and they're still using at the beginning of this energy, that they use to enhance immunity. Matter of fact, if you go on the website, you'll see information where they not only did it for that, but they showed how they used it for cancer as well. And Bioenhancer doesn't have any laxatives. What Bioenhancer does is it has prebiotics in it. And the prebiotics that's in it are there so that what they do is they help move waste out of the body, opposed to irritating the large intestines. So when you start talking about fasting, you can do it 3 days each week if that's what you prefer. You can do it 7, 10, 15, or 14 days if you want to. Some people do it for 30 days. When I do fast, I never know how long I'm going to fast for, because of the fact that I'm always dealing with the fact of what my body's telling me. If we become more sensitive to our body, what will happen is that some of these ailments that we have, we'll see that we'll begin to heal. The body will begin to heal, and because we've become more in tune with our body. Part of our issue is the fact that we're not in tune with our body. And so because we're not in tune with our body now is not doing what it needs to do. And so I thank you for your attention over this last hour and some change. And if there are any questions, I will definitely entertain them now. Also, during my process, I teach Qigong on Saturday mornings, and Qigong is similar to yoga, but the difference is that we use different types of postures. And what it does is it invigorates the blood. It works on the organ network to create the balance. And there are some things that you can do. For instance, right here, this point right here, if you take your thumb and put your thumb in here, just like this here, if that point is sensitive and sore, that's your lung. Okay. Whether it's on, it doesn't matter which hand it's on. Okay. What happens is that if it's on this hand, that means that this lung is not functioning properly. If it's on this hand, it means that the right is not working to its optimum. So if you begin to work on it like this here or like this here, okay, what happens is that you begin to see that you get more air going into your body. If you wind up having congestion, okay, you can actually use points like here, okay, yin tong. You can use the 2 points underneath of your nose. That's going to open up this whole nasal cavity. And then you can use the points in your shoulder. If you take your arm like this here, and you'll find that there's a pocket there. You do this, there's a pocket. You take your fingers like this here, stick it in there, and rotate it like this here. If that's sore, that's a lung issue. So now you got the lungs moving. This point here, Li4, if you do this in here, that's going to help to remove, to get gastroenterologists or gastrointestinal things moving. This is going to help you move your bowels. You do that on both hands. And right here in your elbow. Right there, you're going to do the same thing. Just take your thumb and put it in there like this here. And what will happen is that you'll begin to see that your bowels, your bowels will begin to work and move for you. But those are some of the kinds of things that I teach on Saturday mornings. All right, any questions? I know I've run my mouth a lot.
I have a question.
Over the last...
Fraser, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I had went to Mom's Market and I was going to buy some magnesium. And being in there, I just got so confused because there's so many. It's like magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate. It's so many. So I'm like, which one shall I get?
So what I would tell you is this. And you probably have to, because Mom's doesn't sell it anymore. So you'd probably have to get it from Amazon. These two companies should pay me for this advertisement I'm about to give them. So you would get a product called Calm, CALM plus calcium. Okay, that's going to have, now that's a good product because it's going to have vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, calcium, boron in it. All of those make it so that they get into your system. It's a powder. So you make it so you can heat some water and drink it as a tea. Heat some water, take some and put it in the cup, pour the water in it and drink it as a tea. That's going to allow for the magnesium to get into your system and get into it so that it functions for you. Where when you just take magnesium, magnesium will cause the bowels to move if you got a bowel issue. Gluconate is one of the ones that a lot of people use, but you know, I always tell people to get it so that it does more than just that, and it gets right into your system, opposed to it being delayed in getting into your system.
Okay, yeah, I did see the Calm Plus. I did see that Whole Foods, and I did see that Mom's at one point.
Right, yeah, and so that's what I would suggest. In terms of enzymes, here I go with another plug. I would suggest you get Mom's Digestive Enzymes. Okay, Mom's Digestive Enzymes Complex, because of the fact that what they do is they actually provide the ability for the body to digest the food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I got the one that had the chlorophyll in it. I did buy that one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest that.
Okay.
And then the probiotics, I would suggest it's called PB8, which is probiotics 8, the number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the other piece that I suggest that people buy in regards to, and that's because those are products I use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I can attest to them because they work for me.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, Dr. Akmal, my name is Johnny, and I have a question in regards to the fasting. So how long should we prepare our bodies before we actually do the fast?
That's a good question. In my program, you take 7 days before you start fasting. Okay. What happens is that you start out the day that you decided you're going to do the preparation, you extract one meal or something that you're eating out of your eating habit. And you do that every day until you're down to your 7th day. On your 7th day, what you do then is you then begin to fast on the next day. Now, every day that you take something out, you're adding in juices. Okay, so that on that 7th and 8th day, you may be on that 7th day you may eat a piece of fruit, but the rest of the day you're drinking juices. And so on the 8th day, which is the first day of your fast, now you're starting to drink nothing but juices and not eat any solid foods. Okay. In my fasting program, a book comes with it, Cleansing Within the Seasons Through the Art of Fasting, which breaks it down for you so that you have an understanding of how to go through the fast and how to break the fast. The most important part of that is breaking the fast. That's the most important part of that. Because of the fact that if you don't break the fast right, woo, it'd be nasty on your small intestines. When I first fasted, which was around 1974, I had no idea what I was doing. I really didn't. I read Jethro's Cloth, Back to Eden, and I figured, well, I can do it. And so I fasted. It was good fast. But when I broke it with pickled cauliflower and some almonds. Oh, my God. Did I think I was going to die? And the gas that came out of my system, oh, man, it turned the paint on the wall. It was so deep. You know what I mean? So you really gotta take a look at, and you really gotta deal with the fact of when you fast, breaking it is most important.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes. What juices do you recommend for fasting?
I would recommend, things like, first off, let me say this. If you're diabetic, you should not fast. If you're diabetic, I have a specific program for you that helps you with the cleansing. Or if you're a person who don't want to fast or wouldn't, or don't, your body won't allow you to fast, there's also a program I have for you so that you can cleanse the body. Now, your question was, repeat it, please.
I was asking what juices would you recommend that you use for fasting, and if you're pre-diabetic, does that mean that a pre-diabetic should not fast?
Right. I would when I work with people who are pre-diabetics or diabetics.
Mm-hmm.
I always put them on a specific protocol.
Okay.
Because we don't want your blood sugar level to drop, because when your blood sugar level drops, that could put you in danger. Matter of fact, one of the books I wrote for my thesis was on diabetes. Okay. And so you really don't want that to happen. What you want to happen is you want to be able to go through that process and be healthy and bring your blood sugar level down, as well as your A1C. So, but to answer your question, I normally suggest to people that, one, if you're able, you should juice your own juices from vegetables. If not, then you would get juices that have a little sugar, because you're gonna find juices that have some sugar, because especially if it's fruit, it's gonna have fruit sugar. So you want to get juices that have some sugar. You want to make sure that the juices have at least 75% juice, unless it's something like lemon juice. Lemon juice normally is like 15% juice, and the rest is water. And so you want to use that. You want to use vegetable juices, and you want to make sure that the sugar and the salt content in the juices are not high, so that they don't go in and start problems. Because you have people who are manufacturing products and saying, "Oh, this is natural," and you wind up and it has a whole bunch of other stuff in it. And so I would suggest those kind of juices. But the best is to be able to juice them yourself.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have a follow-up question to that. So I have a Vitamix, so it's okay to put my vegetables in my Vitamix and use that as my juice, or you're talking about strictly juices?
I'm talking strictly juices. See, because with the Vitamix, because you get the pulp in it, that's going to continue to have digestion happen.
Okay.
When you're fasting, you're fasting so that it stops digestion.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Yes, hey, Dr. Akmal, this is Johnny again. So in regards to that fast, like I tend to drink a lot of water. About how many glasses of water should I drink a day while doing that fast?
So you got to allow your body to tell you that. See, people are telling us, well, you drink 64, you drink 120, that, your body tells you how much to drink. And as you eat vegetables, and especially vegetables that are water vegetables, like green vegetables and fruits and those kinds of things, you're getting distilled water. So your body's getting hydrated in that manner if you're eating that. So then if you allow your body to let you know when it wants water, what happens is that you satisfy the body's need for water. And if your lips, if your lips become chapped, or you get a lot of wrinkles in your lips, that tells you that you're suffering from dehydration. That's one of the things that it tells you. The body is amazing if you understand it. That's like since this energy that's been in the universe, I had to close my office. So I've been doing virtual appointments with people, and doing that, I do tongue analysis. And so with the tongue has the topography of the tongue has every element that your body has. All of your organs are on it. And depending on what the moss, which is the white coating on it, looks like, depending if there's cracks on it. Cracks always talk about too much fire in the body. Thick coating, and mothers, that is thrush. Thick coatings talk about the fact of too much dampness in the body, which means that you're eating too many foods that have that are gelatinous, that cause mucus. So if you understand the body, and that's why in all of my programs, I take folks through things that get them to understand the fact of what's happening with your body, because the more you understand about your body, the more you are able to heal and not maintain. Because healing is the piece that we should be looking at. When you start maintaining your body, what you're doing is you're actually, pacifying it. And so as you start to age, what happens is that now your body is in such a way where your body now is functioning not to its optimum. But I do have other classes happening. I have a class coming up on food combining. I'm in the 4th week of one on enhancing the immune system. Next month I'll do one on acid alkaline balance, because people don't really understand that. As well as next month I'll do another diabetes program. So I do programs consistently on a monthly basis. And now that I have emails, you'll be getting emails from me as to the classes that are going on and the things that I'm doing. Other questions?
How do we get to join a class? Your Saturday class?
You can go on the website and you can register for it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest? Excuse me. What would you suggest for those who have eczema?
There's a couple of things that I would suggest for that. One of them is to change your eating habit. You know, that would be the first thing. And the second thing would be to create the balance of your digestive tract. The other is stop, and depending on now that depends on two things. That depends on whether the eczema is dry or it's wet. If it's dry, that means you have too much heat. You don't have enough water going on. If it's wet, that says that you have too much water and not enough heat. So it really would depend on what's causing it. The only way that I really could answer you in a manner that would help you with that would be for you to send me your tongue and have an appointment, and let me, or whoever it is that you're asking that about, and then I can tell you exactly what's happening and what you would need to do for that.
Thank you, beloved.
You're welcome.
What herbs are good for hypertension while fasting or juicing? What vegetables and fruits would you suggest?
So as you fast, I would suggest things like celery, beet juice, carrot juice. Those three together with maybe some garlic or some leeks in it. The leeks and the garlic is going to give you the sulfur, which is going to create the cleansing process that's needed. The beets, they're going to strengthen the blood. The carrots are going to start to break down the cholesterol or the dampness that's in the blood vessels. And the celery is going to create the balance, and actually also add cucumber to that, which are going to create the balance for the it's in there. It's going to create the balance for the blood cells and the electrolytes. That's what I would suggest. In the book, in my book, what happens is it gives you protocols for different kinds of health disharmonies.
And what is the name of your book and how do you order it?
Okay, it's called Cleansing Within the Seasons Through the Art of Fasting. I think it's on the website. If it's not, email me and I'll put it on, and you can purchase it that way. But it does come with the fasting program.
Thank you so much for your vast knowledge and information and for sharing. We appreciate you.
Thank you for being there. Any other questions?
Can you elaborate on the blood type eating?
Okay, so our blood type is broken down into O, which is the oldest, which comes out of Africa. A, which then begins to come out of Asia. A and AB, which comes out of Asia and Europe. Okay, and so our blood type determines what kinds of foods we should eat. People who have O blood, they, because of the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, they need to eat heavy proteins. Okay, and what that does is so that the hydrochloric acid functions properly for them. People who have A and AB, the antibodies that they have are not as key and crucial. So those are people who can be vegans and vegetarians and those kinds of things. People who have A, if you're a vegan, you need to find a way to get heavier proteins so that the protein can function for you, so that it can be broken down in your digestive tract. Because see, it's all about how you digest the foods, and they absorb and they assimilate into your blood. if you're eating foods that are not good for you, that are not absorbing and assimilating in your blood, then what's happening is it's causing toxins and poisons in the blood. And so that's going to cause you to have ailments. And you know, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian and you're not eating any kind of flesh or that kind of thing, then you need to make sure that you're getting B12, which is critical, iron, those kinds of things, because without those, your blood then becomes deficient, which now sets you up for other things, which also includes vitamin D. Now, the only non-food substance that you can really get vitamin D from are mushrooms. And mushrooms also carry beta-carotenes and beta-glucans, which are very powerful antioxidants that help to reduce things like cancer, things of that nature. So what you're looking at is you're looking at being able to take the blood type and understanding your blood type. And as you understand your blood type, you then begin to understand the foods that you should eat and eat those foods in the season. Excuse me. There'll be a class on that. I believe late December, late November, early December, because that also has to deal with the factor of, as we go into winter, winter is the season of our ancestors, okay? Because of the factor that it's the season of the kidneys. And as it being the season of the kidneys rule over the bones. And as it rules over the bones, what happens is that the bones store our DNA and our stem cells. That's like vitamin D. Vitamin D is an ancestral vitamin because of the fact that vitamin D is stored in the bones and it deals with our DNA. See, so if we begin to understand how micronutrients function in the body, and if we begin to understand how to deal with it in that manner, what happens is that we begin to become healthy. We have to understand that the food that our ancestors ate, just like myself, the foods that I ate 72 years ago are not the same as the foods that I'm eating today, because of the fact that the food chain has changed. The food chain has changed the foods. So we can't really eat what our ancestors ate because they ate pure food. The foods that we eat now, I hate to put it like this, but the foods we eat now are garbage, are straight up garbage, because they're adulterated. And when you have people like Monsanto's who are manipulating the seeds and hold the seeds hostage, whether it's organic or inorganic or pesticide, what you're talking about is you're talking about a food a seed that's been manipulated, and the manipulation of that seed now deals with the fact of your body. That's why we're seeing so many different health disharmonies we call disease, and so many people are not able to heal their body because of the fact of that, and because of the fact that we don't know how to eat. We don't. We have to understand food combining, because foods have texture. Foods have, for instance, when you're eating foods, you eat the less dense food first before you eat the dense food, because the food that has less density to it, if you eat heavier foods first, for instance, let's say that you're a meat eater, and so you eat a piece of meat, and then you eat, let's say, a cucumber. Okay. Well, the cucumber won't go through the system, so the cucumber now has the possibilities of fermenting, because the piece of meat takes longer to get through the system. But if you eat the cucumber, and especially if you eat it in the summer and the spring, if you eat the cucumber first, then the cucumber is less dense, because when you chew it, it breaks down into water. And so now it's going to go right through your system, so that when you do eat that piece of meat, the meat is clear and there's nothing behind it to ferment and putrefy. So, eating is a trip for life. It really is. And it's about how we go about eating the foods that we have, or how we go about eating foods in general. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. I see several people's hands up. Let me see. And now this is new to me, so let me see how that works. Okay, so I guess you got a raised hand, so I'm supposed to do something. I have no idea.
Just call the name out when you see the hand, and they'll lower their own hand.
Oh, do what? Say that again. Oh, okay. So I hit that one. So I hit it for somebody who had their hand up and now it's down.
You can call their name, and they will lower their own hand once you call.
Oh, is that how that works? I see. I have no idea. All right. So Miss Pamela, go ahead. Your question.
Hi, I want to know if elderberry and echinacea is good for your immune system.
Yeah, elderberry is very good for your immune system. It's about the type of elderberry that you deal with. Matter of fact, I have a product on the website. That's an elderberry bohi product, and it's all of the products on my website. I manufacture. Okay. And I manufacture from research, and so yeah, there's a product on there for that that has that, and it's a very, very good and useful product. Matter of fact, it's one of the products that I've started to use. I also use the Yingping sand, which is also one of the products that I also use.
Okay, one more question. What about Manuka honey? Is that good for your immune system?
It is, because it breaks down different than a lot of the regular honeys.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Kasima?
Hi, good night. It's Kamisa.
Okay, Kamisa. Apologize for butchering your name.
That's okay. And the start, I have two questions. The first one being, how I'm seeing that this is a recording. How can we get it? Is it possible we can get a copy of this sent us?
Let me see what I can do. Okay. In regards to uploading it to the website, and then I'll send you an email, let you know that you can get it from the website. I tried that with a couple other pieces, and it wasn't successful. So let me just see if I can do that. But if I can do that, yeah, you can get a recording of it.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is, what natural substance we can use to help us with kidney stones? Like,
okay.
How do you?
So one of the first things you want to stay away from, foods like rhubarb. There's another one that's in there. It'll come out in a minute. You want to be able to start to take in magnesium, which means that your body's not absorbing magnesium, and because it's not absorbing magnesium, now you're having kidney stones. Also,
calcium
beans and nuts. You want to stay away from them unless you really soak the beans before you use them, and the nuts as well. But I would suggest you stay away from, because they have phytates and phytic acid, and the phytic acid works to cause kidney stones. So you really want to curtail those. But the magnesium, the Calm Plus or the Calm, which is straight magnesium, will help to break down the kidney stones. But you got to make sure that you don't increase calcium, okay? Because the calcium is going to continue to cause it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Miss Brown? Okay. Let's see. Tamika?
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, so, sorry. My blood type is B positive. So, would that go with the AB?
Yeah, it would go with B, and that means that you could work in terms of being a vegan and a vegetarian, in regards to your eating habit. But I would suggest that you either go online and and look and really research it, you know, and that's the piece that I look at is being able to research your what's going on with you. See, because if you begin to research what's happening, and for instance, in regards to your blood type, then what happens is that now you begin to have an understanding of what your blood type is like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, what happened here? Okay, who's next? Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, I just had a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, thank you. As far as you said something about simple foods earlier, but I know it was just a story about what happened after you broke fast. My question is fermented foods. Are fermented foods seasonal? Are they beneficial? What are your thoughts on?
Fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi and miso and nete, they're good foods for you to eat because what they do is they increase and enhance the lactobacillia in your small intestines, which then allows for the small intestines to be able to extract and absorb nutrients from the foods that you're eating. So yeah, I mean, I eat them all the time.
All the time? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One more question and one more question and I'll mute it. So I really dislike steel cut oats. So I know you were saying it about the if we have sugar cravings, that it'll stop the sugar cravings. But if the oats are on your food list, or is it steel cut oats or just oats?
No,
organic oats?
No, it's steel cut oats.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's next?
I have one quick question and then one regular question. The first quick one is, how do I find out my blood type? Do I just get a blood test? I don't know my blood type.
Okay, so you'll see if your doctor will allow that to happen. If your doctor works with that for you.
Okay,
and then the other way that you may be able to do that is to be able to go to the Red Cross and get blood, because the Red Cross, once the Red Cross takes your blood, they're gonna analyze it to see what type it is before they dispense it.
Okay. Okay, and the second question, thank you for that. I eat alkaline, and I have a thyroid. I have hypothyroid. But it's like no matter what I do, when I go get my test, it's always awful. So is there something extra that I can do, or something that, like, I eat all the seed vegetables and all of that, but I still have low, like, I don't know. Any advice?
Well, the piece that you're looking at is this. You can't eat all alkaline. Okay. And the reason you can't is because of the fact that your body is acid and alkaline. So you got to eat foods that's going to create the balance that you're looking for, the acid, alkaline, and the acid balance. If your body has to deal with alkalosis, excuse me, alkalosis as it's called, what then begins to happen is that now, okay, you're just as bad as having acidosis. Okay, you want to make sure that your blood is 7.35 because that's its balance. When you take it out of its balance, now you're susceptible to that. That's probably why you're having an issue with your thyroid. Okay, which now tells me that you have an issue with your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, and your hypothalamus. Which then would balance down into the reproductive system. which then can get into your bones. You know, I mean, there's a whole cadre that happens, and I'm not sure when that I think that particular workshop, that particular course comes up, I think in December, because of the fact that that's the season of the kidneys.
Okay, so it'll be on your website.
It will be. You'll get an email about it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Who's next?
Good evening. I wanted to ask, do you have any, what sweets would you suggest that we eat, or just don't eat any sweets at all?
Ain't no sweets at all.
Okay. All right.
You know, I mean, the piece of that is the fact is that, you know, if you eat sweets, eat them in moderation. But when you eat sweet foods, you know, like cookies, cakes, and pies, and that kind of thing, it's junk food. So it's not contributing. If you eat stuff like honey, you know, depending on the type of honey, will depend on the nutrients you're going to get from the honey. But every once in a while, a cookie tastes good, don't it?
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's next? No more questions?
Yes, I don't have my hand raised up, but I'm sorry.
All right.
So sorry.
So what was his question?
It seems it's a little spoiled dog. So every time I want to talk, she jumps in. But I've been having a skin condition, and it probably was going to require an appointment with you. But I just wonder, are there any herbs that you can recommend? And it's right in my forehead.
That might mean you think too much. No, I'm only kidding. Oh, yeah. I mean, it tells me about your lungs and your large intestines. That's part of what it tells me about, and it tells me that your body needs to be cleansed. So the thing would be to send me your tongue, and then I could look at your tongue and determine what we might be able to do.
And so, in order to do that, you just take a picture of it and send it to you.
If you go on the website, it'll tell you how to do that.
Okay.
Say four pictures of your tongue, from the tip of your tongue to the back of your mouth, and I don't want to see your face, and that's not to be disrespectful, but that's so that I can see your tongue and don't have to blow it up. And then one picture would be of your face. But if you go on the website, it'll guide you through that.
I sure will. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Next question.
Hi, good night. Again, I just have a quick question in connection with yours mentioning something about fibrosis. Could you just give a little bit more information on that in terms of what the person is allowed to eat? What is it that they shouldn't eat? I'm not sure if you can probably give a brief explanation as into what causes it and stuff like that. Thank you.
Well, I mean, what causes it is a lack of minerals. That's what causes it, and the digestion of foods. That's basically what causes it. The thing is, and each person is different in regards to fibrosis. My suggestion would be for you to set up an appointment so that we can actually get to the specifics of what's causing it. See, because that way we're not just throwing darts at it. We really get into it, because everybody's different. We have to understand that everybody's different, and even though that's like maybe you and your sister both have it, but your sister's may be different than yours because of the fact of her own constitution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I wouldn't get into specifics about disharmonies in this kind of format, because of the fact that it really wouldn't be good to tell you to take X, Y, and Z, and then you take that and it doesn't work. You know, then it's like, well, he told me to take that, you know, and so I wouldn't do that too. Next question.
Can you tell again about the package of herbs and just how you ordered that, and specifically what the next class is that's coming up that we can take?
The next class is coming up, I believe, is food combining. I have to go in there and look at what the next class is, and the packages. Let's see. Let me do a couple of things here. Let me see if I can get this to roll again. Well, let me see. Okay. So the packages that you're looking at is the Triangle of Life Immune Package. And then you're looking at Cleansing Within the Season, the Fasting Package, Yin Ping and Green Earth Food. And you're looking at Bioenhancer. Those are the packages that are available. But if you go onto the website, you'll see that there's a lot more packages there.
And there's a discount though if we attended this class, right?
Right. There's a code. There's a code there, and the code I guess you'd have to call me for the code because the code's on the. Let me see if how I can put this up again.
I wrote the codes down, so I can put them in the chat if you want me to.
Yeah, would you please? Thank you very much. Yes. That would be very helpful.
I will.
And so those are the packages. Now, in terms of the classes, you asked that question, right? Let me. I gotta go over here and see what I got going on. Just bear with me for a momento here. So the next course is on the 13th next week. It's food combining for optimum health. That's the next course, and then the spring wind Qigong, which is Saturday morning, and I think this one starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's for an hour. That's what I have going on. Then you'll find tongue evaluation for health on the website as well.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Good. Let me get another question. I'm gonna have to go in a minute. I have another Zoom that started like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I got a quick question. So do you recommend the apple cider vinegar and like honey and like warm water to drink? Just.
Yeah, I mean you can do that. It depends on why you want to do that. You know, my question to people is this: when people say they taking stuff and want to take stuff, I always ask them why. See, because if you understand why you're taking it, then that's why. Then that would be good for you to be taking it. But if you're taking it because your cousin said, "Oh, child, I done took this and this did this and this did this and this," but you really don't know what it's going to do to you. So I would suggest that now the honey courses gets the spleen active, the stomach, because that's their peace sweetness. The vinegar causes the liver, which now gets the liver to function. So now the liver begins to function. And then the water is going to work with the kidneys, so that now you have the kidneys, the liver, and the spleen happening, which could work very well for you. But it's also about why you're taking it. And a lot of people take that so that they can lose weight or waste. Because you don't gain weight, you gain waste. And that's because of the fact that the digestive tract isn't functioning.
Thank you. And yeah, that would be the reason for losing weight.
Well, then I would suggest that you take the digestive enzymes. Because what the digestive enzyme is going to do, it's going to break down the food in the proper location. And as it breaks it down in the proper location, what's going to happen now is that the food is going to give you the nutrients, and the waste byproducts is going to go out like it's supposed to. You start taking them digestive enzymes, watch what happens to your bowels. And if your abdomen is protruding, what happens is that you be like, you know, I'm just a slim and trim, that kind of thing.
So do you do your diabetes for type 1 and type 2?
I do both. In the book, which is Sweet Mysteries, Diabetes, Sweet Mysteries of Life, a handbook for naturally reducing and eliminating diabetes mellitus. It talks about both. Type 1 is a little more difficult than type 2 to eradicate, but you can bring down the A1C. And in some cases, you can get the alpha and the beta cells to regenerate their cells. But the first thing you got to do is reestablish digestion.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Yes, good evening. I do have a question. I have been struggling with hives or rashes every time my body temperature changes. So I go out into the cold, and the cold could be even 70 degrees. I get hot, red, itchy, scratch. I come back in, and then this heat kicks in, and it's just like unbearable scratching. It lasts for like half an hour or so. This has been happening for the last year or so, and I haven't been able to get any conclusion as to what may be happening in my system. I'm curious as to what you're thinking.
Probably your liver. And your liver may be attacking your lungs. And that could be causing it. You might have an issue with constipation. You might have a temperamental issue, which could be anywhere from anger, depression, frustration, jealousy, hatred, sadness, grief. Any of those could be what's causing that to happen. And so the only way that I would know would be to have a look at your tongue and then do an appointment with you so that we can see what's going on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, dear. Next. All right. Well, this has been a wonderful evening. I thank you all for showing up and coming to the conclusion with me. I'll see what I can do to put this online for you and let you know when it's there.
Thank you.
Be well, enjoy your life as you peacefully walk in health. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.